This is Scott Jennings on the Salem Radio Network. Common Sense for the American People. We are remembering our friend Charlie Kirk today, and we are honored to be joined by the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, who is in the White House. And I'm sure, Susie, you're managing a lot of emotions and a lot of incoming today for the White House and for the president. I just want to start and ask you first and foremost, how is everyone at the White House doing? This is traumatic for you, for the team. How are you personally, and how is the president?
Yesterday was a very tough day. It we was a roller coaster. We thought it was bad news, and then we thought there would be good news, and then ultimately not so. So it was very rough. Charlie was very much a part of this family, and maybe the highest profile MAGA person outside of those that are working here. I think it shook everybody to their core, and for many of us, brought back the memories of last July 13th in Butler with the president. And then today is 9/11. So sort of a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Butler. The memories must be flooding back. And I just want to ask you, I mean, you're around the president, you were around him during the campaign, you interact with people in public settings. Is it safe in America right now for an outspoken conservative? I mean, obviously the president survived a couple of assassination attempts, and Charlie's no longer with us. How are you processing that question today?
I think we have to recognize that America has become a violent place. It's one of the reasons the president's so committed to a safe District of Columbia. And as we've had great results there. But Marco Rubio yesterday said, what I think is going on is that there are embers out there and they're starting to burn. And I thought that was a very good way of looking at the atmospherics. We have a lot of high profile people here that engage publicly and in the media, and they say things others might not like. So I called everybody in before they went home last night and said, go home, hug your children, hug your spouse, be careful, take precautions, and don't let your voice get softer. Charlie would want everybody to speak as they had been and more. So that's sort of the way we feel here. And he was very close to many of us, and even those that were not his good friends, we know him. He was so much help in the campaign. There's no question there's a sadness here.
Has the president spoken to the Kirk family at this point?
I believe he has. We sent lots of resources yesterday, including we sent the vice president to be with Erica and the children and the extended family and the Turning Point family. I'm sure many of your folks saw the president's video message last night, and then again at the 9/11 ceremony at the Pentagon. So we feel like we're as close to them as we can be in this tragic time. He was a beautiful soul.
Mm.
So there's just no other way to say it, Scott, than it's a very sad time.
The president has announced that he'll give Charlie the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Yep.
Could you just talk to us about their relationship? What did Charlie's counsel mean to President Trump, both during the campaign and now during the administration?
During the campaign, whenever we had a sticky problem, a venue we couldn't get in, a crowd it would be hard to build in a particular place, an interest in speaking to young voters, anytime we went to the West, Charlie was the first call we made. I mean, you'll probably remember when the president announced RFK and that endorsement. Charlie put that whole event on in Phoenix. So that's the way we dealt with him on campaigning. In addition to that, he has Turning Point has a wonderful data operation, and their door-to-door canvassing efforts is their unspoken heroes. Charlie, his team, and all their recruits. We believe there's no substitute for retail campaigning and looking somebody in the eye and asking for the vote. And he devoted time, energy, resources, commitment to that. And it sort of went unheralded. So I don't want that to happen again. It was incredibly valuable. It allowed us
Mm.
It allowed us as a campaign to save money. It allowed committed people to go door to door, talk to their neighbors and their friends. These things truly make a difference in a presidential campaign. And I know the president won big, but he won the youth vote and he won it on the ground. And that has to be due to Turning Point and Charlie.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that between the inspiration that President Trump has given us all as Republicans and conservatives, and then Charlie uh, uh, organizing these people, that we're just seeing a sea change in the political views of young people in this country, and they're rallying to the conservative movement. I think because the president and Charlie were working so closely together to inspire them. Let me turn our attention to the FBI investigation. We've seen some reports of evidence that's been collected today. The manhunt is underway. We're obviously getting regular reports from law enforcement. We've seen an image of a person of interest. What can you tell us here at 1:30 Eastern about the FBI investigation?
I don't know much more than you do. They are looking for the person that they published the photographs of. My money is on them finding this person quickly. There's been sort of a lot of misinformation, and I don't want to be a part of that. So I have great confidence they will find them and soon, but I don't know more than that.
The president alluded to this last night in his message, but what can you tell us about the coming plan to address left-wing extremism and violence in America?
We are working. We were actually already working, spurred as much by the Ukrainian woman who was killed on the train as by Charlie's um, tragic passing. A more comprehensive plan on violence in America, the importance of free speech and civil speech, the ways that you can address these they can only be called hate groups that may breed this kind of behavior. So in the coming days, the president will be telling the American people about what we plan to do. It will not be easy. There's layer upon layer upon layer, and some of this hate-filled rhetoric is multi-generational. But you've got to start somewhere, and the president is committed to doing that.
You mentioned earlier, Susie, that in addition to remembering Charlie today, we're also remembering the victims of 9/11.
Yeah.
After 9/11, this country took pretty sweeping policy action to keep Americans safe. I'm wondering, in the wake of Charlie's murder, and in the wake of the incident in Charlotte that you mentioned, and in the wake of several other incidents around the country, and I think the president's correct demand that crime be dealt with in our big cities, should we be expecting a policy reaction to all of this akin to what we saw in this country after 9/11?
Many of the changes we made after 9/11 are still in effect. That's really when the change came about. Yes, we've relaxed some things. So I don't expect a 9/11 type response. I think it's as much in hearts and minds as it is in public safety.
Mm.
We believe in the First Amendment in this country, period, full stop. And so making sure that all Americans can do that, whether they agree or whether they don't, is our priority. And I don't know exactly what form it'll take yet. I just know we've redoubled our commitment to being to free and sort of civil speech um, that is protected in every way, and that includes law enforcement if need be.
Has the president heard from any foreign leaders about the shooting? And if so, how are they reacting and absorbing the news of Charlie's murder?
He received lots of texts and some calls last night from Europeans and um, a couple of the Asian countries that we've had dealings with recently. But Charlie had so many friends in this country, all ages, all types, and they've reached out to the president, I think, almost as a substitute for being able to talk and touch Charlie.
Mm.
Um, so that's been very gratifying.
We've seen some Democrats today, I think, saying some unfortunate things on television, even yesterday and today. Some are demonizing conservatives. Some are, of course, predictably calling for immediate sweeping gun control. Any reaction to some of the things you've seen on social media and on television in the last 24 hours?
I've been watching it a little bit, and I noticed that when there are offenders like this, whether it's on MSNBC or in academia, they're removed from their jobs. And these are not easy decisions for management, whether it's colleges or TV, but it's the right thing to do. We just cannot, as a country, tolerate it.
We've got about a minute left with Susie Wiles, the White House Chief of Staff. And thank you again, Susie, for joining us. There's a lot of grief today in your building. There's a lot of grief in America. We're remembering 9/11. I think the American people are feeling a little unsettled about our future as a country. What can you say to the American people today about the need for national unity?
It's always a need. It is what we're built upon. We are Americans first. Yes, we may have gender differences, ethnic differences, racial differences, but we should think of ourselves as Americans first. And if we do, there's no mountain we can't climb. I'm not worried over any kind of a long term or sustainable basis that this will fray the country more than it is today. In fact, I look at it the other way. I think this may be a good opportunity to look at the things that unite us, the ties that bind us, and at least that's what we're going to try to do here.
That is Susie Wiles. She is the White House Chief of Staff. You also know that she ran President Trump's campaign in 2024. And on behalf of Republicans, Susie, and on behalf of conservatives all over the country, we just want to thank you for your steady leadership, both in the campaign and in the White House. I think most of us are just amazed every day at what you and the president are able to accomplish for the conservative movement. And I think a lot of it has to do with your leadership. Susie Wiles, the White House Chief of Staff. We are so honored to have her, and we're honored by your listening to the Scott Jennings Show on the Salem Radio Network today. It's common sense for the American people as we remember our friend Charlie Kirk. More to come. Scott Jennings Show on Salem.